On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains, you are at your favorite spot, the place, the location, where the conversations are pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Today, we are going to Connecticut. Never been to that part of the country. I'm excited. We are going to be visiting with Andrea Ezerins, a budding author. This woman has just made a pivot like you wouldn't believe. From the world of corporate insurance now to a fictional author and in the middle, a brand new grandchild. We're going to talk to her about that, life, her book. She's going to read us an excerpt and a whole lot more. Let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Andrea?
I am doing just fine, April. I'm glad to be here.
I know. I wish I was there with you to maybe have some good clam chowder and
Oh,
cup of
right.
tea or whatever. I'm coming that way. I told Mr. Magnificent I want to fly to that part of the country and take a road trip. Go all
Come in the fall when the leaves are turning and such. It's really pretty in the fall.
Okay. All right. I'm excited. So let's talk about your fall from corporate America into being an author. Tell us a little bit about how you show up in the world.
So, I, born and bred, raised in Connecticut, lived here my whole life. I started in the insurance industry right out of college, worked there for 35 years in, corporate America. And just on January 1st of this year, I made that pivot that you were referring to and retired from insurance and set about introducing the world to again and again back to you, my book. So I now am joining what I think of as the more creative side of the world rather than kind of the corporate world, and have been finding community support. It's making me, find new skills, and self promotion and things like that is some of the things that I've had to touch upon. So I'm very excited. And you also referenced that in 20 just last month I became a grandmother for the first time. So I've got a little grandson, Rhodes, that's taking up some good quality time as well.
Absolutely. And as I said, this is a new chapter in a book of life. And so many people, unfortunately, don't are not able to taste the fruit of their labor. They pass away. They
Yes.
have been that dedicated person that never took a day off, that never went on vacation, that never spent that quality time with their kids, that was never at the baseball game. They work, 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 and then can't collect one social security check.
Right, right.
And
No.
it's a challenge. And I tell people, I was in corporate America. I would have always 3 or 4 days on the books just in case of emergency. But honey, I would take those PTO days, a vacation day, a mental health day in a heartbeat because you only have one life. You only have
Right,
one life.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
then now
life
you,
balance, right, is critical. And I read somewhere recently, it was after I retired, that the only people that notice that type of unbalance of work, work, work is your children. And that's not, right.
you can't go
The
back.
cold corporate world doesn't really care that you're, out of balance. And
Well,
uh
you're a mechanical animal and you are
yeah,
dispensable.
yes.
You want to do a good job, but given that 200%, I'm sorry, I was never that girl. I'm gonna give you
Right.
100, and on
Yep.
a good day, if there's a good bonus, I give you 105.
Yes, right, right. Yes.
But it was about that. But I also have a desire to be creative, and I never let that that was my distraction or my motivation because I knew that
Yep.
there would be something after this. I would pour
Right.
that creativity into my work. I would try to do that. But you were able to do that because this, as you told me, was a 20-year span.
Yes, yes. April, as I look back now, I can see that I was, keeping that balance and doing something creative. At the time, I was, much more just I want to write this book and I want to work towards it. But now I see that that was giving me a nice creative outlet because, right, business and stuff can be kind of cold and meetings and draining of you. And this filled me up. It took a long time and I didn't do it, consistently. I worked on my book for the last 20 years in kind of January to March, when I made a New Year's resolution every year that I was really gonna, focus and work through it. And so I did it in, picking it up, putting it down, picking it up, putting it down over those 20 years. And the way I kind of had gotten into it is I had the idea for the ending of the book, which is a bit of a twist that I'm not going to do any spoil alerts or spoil items for the ending, but that's a important piece. And I had written that first, and then I was working those 20 years to get the beginning and middle to do justice to the end that I really liked. And finally it came together really during COVID. Empty nests, all the kids the 4 children had flown the coop, so to speak. Wow. I had time, locked in, and put it all together. And
well, it's a lot. Your creativity, your inspiration, staying motivated. Sometimes 20 years, some people will put it down and never pick it back up. Right. It is your body of work. It took your daughter 9 months to give you a grandbaby. It took you 20 years to give birth to a book. But giving birth is also a growing process. There's going to be the naysayers. That's just, but I always say, let your haters be your motivators.
Okay, yep, that's a good one.
Everybody's not going to, particularly share the same zone of genius. But this is how you grow, because then maybe you'll say, well, maybe let me look at this from a different perspective. Maybe this is what my audience or an audience really needs. You had the privilege of joining a group with your publisher. Tell us a little bit about that.
So that has been really a lifeline and has helped me do that exact grow, learn, be able to deal with disappointments or tough reviews and such to prepare for what you say, right? It's definitely coming. That's, you're putting your work out in the world, and that's going to happen. So She Writes Press is my publisher, female authors only, and they put us in touch with each other. So there's 700 authors that have been published since it's She Writes Press in the last 10, 15 years. We have a private Facebook group where we post questions, tell, what's going on. We've got a smaller group that's just the fall 2024 authors that are being published. And we all get together on Zoom once a month and talk about our journey. Some have published books in the past. Most are first-time authors. And it's just so nice to have that community and know that others are going through what you're going through and are there to ask questions, to say, hey, do you want to try and do a panel together? That would be very nerve-wracking if I didn't have what we call each other our sisters, because it's the She Writes Press sisterhood.
And it's a lifelong friendship. I mean, this is a part of your legacy. Your grandson is going to look through your cedar chest one day and say, wow, my Nana wrote this book. Sit there, might write a book report on it. You never know. And I'm a big dreamer. I always say, J.K. Rowling, look at her. She wrote Harry Potter and look at the billionaire. And where that went is she wrote that just sitting in a cafe. So you don't know if it's going to go to Netflix. It could be a stage play. It could be an audio book. Again, and you get the thrall of writing a second book. You said it's in editing. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
So my second book, I did it in 6 months, and let me tell you, brains, Write it in a short time frame while you've got the whole story arc set in your head, and not in that 20-year. Much smoother, much easier. I've got less distractions than I did over those 20 years. So my second book came together much easier. She Writes Press is going to publish that, and they said the editor I work with said, "Oh, this is much better put together, so much less work that she had to do." And so I'm right in the stage of getting her feedback, and I'm about halfway through. So maybe a year from Again and Again Back to You's publication date of September 3rd, maybe have that second book out there. So the body of work could be growing, April.
So tell us a little bit about Again and Again Back to You. What is the premise of the book, and what do you want readers to walk away with?
Okay, so it's a coming of age story. Marta and Kevin, 14 years old, they fall in love. And, the question of soulmates comes up with, do you believe in soulmates? Are they soulmates? Because Kevin moved away the summer before high school, and they never connected. It's the 1970s, no, social media and things. So they both go along their own path. Marta is the main one you follow, who is insecure and not sure of herself and very sensitive. So she goes through life. And when she's 40, she meets a channeler who is able, because he had the life experience of being badly burned in Sri Lanka when he was a 10-year-old boy. And he had to, in order to take his mind away from the pain, go back to a different place in time of his life. And so he developed that and found that he could take other people whose mind was open on that journey to see what their life could be like. So Marta, bumps into him in her life when she's 40, and goes back to a point in time where she almost connected with Kevin right before she got married. And then kind of serendipitously, Kevin does the same thing when he's 40, and the channeler connects the two. And so that's the premise of the book.
Well, show us the cover, and would you do us the honor of reading us an excerpt? We want to hear your voice.
Right. Okay. And before I go, so just hopefully the camera can show the cover. So it's, the girl, Marta, walking towards the ocean. Here's her shadow, and then you see another shadow in the sand beside her, and then there's all sparkly stars. So there's that magical realism that I'm thinking that when people finish the book, they'll relook at the cover and go, "Oh, now I get it." So that's it. And I do love the cover, and thought that whole concept just captured the story just perfectly. So I'm going to read, this is high school. This is when Kevin is leaving. And so Marta and Kevin are 14. They've gone through their, the first love experience. So this is 1977, Brunswick, New Jersey, a fictional town in New Jersey. The day before Kevin leaves, they are sitting on their favorite rock in their secret meadow. Both are somber and shell-shocked. He reaches into his pocket, takes her hand, and turns her palm upward. He places in it a beautifully smooth, oval-shaped gray granite rock. "This is a worry stone," he says. "I'm scared you may forget to breathe one day and just drop dead. So this is to help you remember to breathe and to never stop listening and dancing to music." She turns the stone over and sees that the word breathe is etched into the river stone with shaky lines. Gazing up at him, her heart in her eyes, she quietly says, "Thank you." "Well, I used my dad's tools," he says self-consciously. "I know it doesn't look so good, but the rock was really hard." She frowns at his self-doubt and at their impending separation. "I love you. I love it. You leaving is just unimaginable. I don't really have words for it. All I know is that I'm not sure I want to continue breathing. I can't believe it's over." She trips and stumbles over the words. This is not the end, he says quickly. Don't worry about that. We'll write. We'll even talk on the phone. I know your dad is strict about the phone, but I will see if I can call you, maybe like once a month. Gazing into Kevin's earnest eyes, Marta almost believes him.
You know, it's beautiful because it sets it up, as you say, as a coming of age story. There's so many twists and turns. I remember my 14-year-old first infatuation. I don't know if I loved him.
Yeah, right.
And then I was with some young people not too long ago, and she says, "Oh, I can't wait till I'm 16." And I said, "Well, what is 16 gonna do?" She says, "Oh, well, I'll be able to date." And there's a whole lot going on. But
Yeah.
when I was 16, I met Mr. Magnificent, my husband.
Oh, yes.
And he went off to the Navy and came back, and here we are back together 40 years later.
Yes.
When you were
so
doing
soulmates, do you
absolutely,
think?
absolutely.
Yeah. So you're a believer.
I have been told that we have traveled many lifetimes together.
Okay, yes.
It's been a wonderful journey. But through all of this, you had gave me a interesting tidbit that one of your friends had asked you about channeling. And this really wasn't your zone of genius. How did you research that? And tell us a little bit about that.
So I did, research. I learned about Schrodinger's cat and kind of the multiverse. And I explained the concept of channeling, of kind of breaking through another universe, because the Big Bang Theory, they say the chance of only one universe being created at that time is much less than multiple universes. So there could be multiple verses. So it's kind of stepping into another universe. So I explain it that way. I have Cholin, who's the channeler, work when he was just starting out with MIT, some astrophysicists that tried to study what actually happens when he goes back in time. So I made it as real, and factual as possible, with that kind of around it. Enough so that my friend Bonnie, when we were together just recently, thought that channeling was, real, and that the book, was actually that people can take you back to a time and live another channel versus it. So I said, okay, well, my mission was accomplished.
Fantastic job, because I have had channelers on my show. I had one woman that channels Mozart to the point where she dresses, her voice changes. There's other channelers that do it with their eyes open.
Yes.
So I believe that. I believe
yes, me too. Right.
I believe in many spiritual transitions. I do not think that this is the end. So bravo for you to even, step out into that and to do research and to find out something new.
Right.
You've done so many wonderful things. The writing process is not easy. The editing is overwhelming. I'm not an editor. I'm a poet. I'll put it together, and I need someone else to dress it up. What they say, put the lipstick on the pig.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot of rewriting. It's a lot of rephrasing. It's not just dotting the I's and crossing the T's. It's making sense to a third party.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about your experience.
So my book. So I'm not a professional writer. That wasn't what I was doing. I was doing the underwriting, number crunching kind of things in my corporate world. So I reached the point in my book, in my novel, where I had read it multiple times, kept editing, kept working on it. But I reached the point where I just couldn't, I loved it, but I couldn't read it objectively anymore. My eyes I knew what was going to happen, kind of thing. And that's when I found a professional editor, third party, that can go through, that's what they do for a living. And it's a great process, because they make lots of changes and kind of you should use this, or you reuse this phrase and such, and changes like that. But then they also have kind of the developmental things. So one of the things my story had started with Choling, the channeler, and his story right up to, when he meets Marta. And they said it was too much of a reader pivot to then switch to Marta and Kevin, because that's whose really story it was. So we had to switch and have Marta and Kevin be the start of the book. And then I wove in Cholin's backstory when they met, so that people didn't start with going, oh, well, this is about a Sri Lankan boy that comes to America, that and stuff. Wait, who's so those are the things that, right, a professional editor, I would never have thought about. I knew the story too well.
Right, and you reread it a million times.
Yes.
And again, it's giving birth. It's not you anymore. It is to the reader. Does it make sense? Does it flow?
Yes.
Does it my interest? Do I want to find out who Chosen actually is?
Yeah.
No, right up front, that's probably taking the mystery out of it.
Right.
Now I have to figure out who this couple is, how they, I get it. I get
Fit
it.
in. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So, Brains, is very, very important to invest the money. If you're serious about your body of work, invest the money in an editor. It will come back tenfold.
Right.
Will come back tenfold. This is, again, their field of expertise. They know what they're doing, and they're reading it, and they can be objective. And don't take it personal.
Right. No.
It's a learning opportunity. I know when my girlfriend was editing my book, she's an English teacher, and it'd come back and it'd have the red pen on it. Oh, I'd be so annoyed. But she said the red pen is your friend.
Yes.
It makes it better.
Yeah. And April, that was exact. I get, the edit, and I'd read through it and I'd go, oh, I don't know about that.
Right.
And give yourself a day or two, and I'd reread it and I go, you know what? They're right. But your initial thing is exactly that of, oh, heck no.
Right. So tell me a little bit about your goals and what you're going to be doing to promote the book, because it's one thing to create it. It's another thing to have it in your hand, but it's another thing to have it on the shelf looking at you. How are you going to get that out to people?
So I've got, and I'm just firming up my book launch. I'm going to have it at a local little cafe bakery here in my town of Hebron. So going to launch it into the world in my hometown. And then I've got a number of events at libraries that I'm going to, to meet readers. I'm doing a street festival, a Brooklyn book festival. So I've got pretty much September kind of scheduled out with a number of events. Barnes and Noble, our local Barnes and Noble, I'm doing a author signing at, and then my understanding, and we're gonna I'll confer with my community of writers, is there's many book events and festivals and stuff, so you just keep doing that month in.
You can't get bored with it.
Right.
You have to be excited every
self-promotion.
Yes, you gotta have them in the trunk of your car.
Yes.
Online events. Don't be hard on friends and family. Those are the people that you really expect to purchase the books. Sometimes they let you down, but
I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah, but that's okay. They'll purchase it, but I want you to read it. That's what I want you to do. Don't give the book away. If you give the book away, it turns into a pamphlet.
Oh, good.
If you sell the book, there's an investment.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good advice. So someone told me that right, you've got your box in your trunk of your car always, but that whenever you go to a bar or restaurant, sit down, that you take 3 copies of your book and have the 3 copies on next to you, because if you just brought one, they're going to think you're just reading the one book, and they aren't going to talk to you. If they see 3, they're going to come up and go, oh, are you an author? Is that your book? And then you generate. So we'll see how I do with that.
Well, photograph the book a lot and use social media as your friend. Have other people holding the book, not always you. It's a vested interest that other people have taken the time to read it, and it will grow exponentially. So,
Brains, we're getting some good marketing promotion. This
absolutely.
Thank you, April.
Make it fun. Yeah, again, like I said, make it fun. Always do a reading, because people want to feel you. They want to
Okay.
embody what you embodied. It's not just about, oh, okay, well, I read it, but what it's
Yes.
like a piece of art. An artist will paint something, but really, what was the artist's interpretation versus what you see a bunch of ink spots? What were they really
Right.
thinking? What it tells about who you are. So let's ask you some fun questions. How about that?
Okay.
If you were an appliance in the kitchen of all places, what appliance would you be and why?
Oh, all right. So I'm not knocking off dishwasher because I don't like to clean or do the dishes. And I'll go with can opener, just because I think we've been talking about opening up to new things that I've been doing, and stuff. So that seems like what a can opener's role is to see what's under the covers and keep exploring. So I'll go with that.
I'm gonna be the spice grinder.
Okay.
I want to keep it nice and spicy and flavorful and interesting. So that'll be
I
good.
see that. Yep, I see it.
If you could time travel, go to the past, stay here in the present, or project to the future, where would you land?
I'll I'll go with this, and then we can talk about it. Little House on the Prairie, one of my favorite books, TV shows. Going back, simpler time, and maybe I'm thinking about poor little Rhodes, who's just a month old and going to be growing up in this social media AI world, and this seems like it's much simpler living out in the middle of the prairie, although right, I'm not sure
Is
I
that
could
the show where
survive.
she used to say "Good night, Will"? Did she say "Good night, Will" at the end? What did she
uh,
say?
that might have been the Waltons.
The
Good night, John
Waltons.
Boy.
Okay,
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
my families mixed up.
I think that very similar. We could go with either one.
But it may appear to be simple to us, but I don't see anything simplistic about that lifestyle. Girl, milking them cows, the
uh,
horses, cleaning the boots,
yeah.
you know, fresh,
Surviving,
yeah,
yeah,
surviving off the grid,
yeah,
versus now, Rhodes is going to have a whole different perspective. He won't
yes,
even know what a rotary phone is.
right,
He doesn't
right,
even probably know what the AM FM radio will ever be. But it's
right.
a different time. And so we have to get in line or we're going to get left behind.
Yes, yes.
But that's why I tell people enjoy your time frame, enjoy where you are. I know I had a situation today where I could have easily went from a flicker to a flame. And I said, for what? Do I really want to invest that kind of energy? I had a strategy. I'm going to do the complete polar opposite of what they expected.
Oh,
And
good.
it deflated their expectations so much that it was like the guy just had to hold his head down and walk with his tail between his legs. Because he
Yep.
just thought that I was just going to go, nuts on him. And I was like,
Right.
no, I'm not. That it's going to be the end result. At least this way I'm heard. And so
Yes.
that's what we have to do is we have to be patient with ourselves and the sign of the times. AI, that is,
Yeah.
that's been
That's
around
going to
for a long
change
time.
things.
It's going to change things, but it's already here. I mean,
Yes.
when you're talking to Siri, I'm talking to my husband sometime, and Siri answers. I'm annoyed. I go to my girlfriend's house, and the refrigerator tells her that she's low on milk.
Right, right.
It's
Yes.
GPS
Yep.
follows you everywhere you go. So we have to learn to incorporate
Yep.
all these different technologies. If you were a flower
All
in the
right.
garden, what flower would you choose to be?
All right. I'm going to go with a daisy because Daisy has a small part in my book. I think people will like her as a character, but I like the name. I like the simple beauty of a daisy, right? Back in the day, you used to pick the petals off. He loves me not, which seems like a 1970s kind of
Right.
vibe. So I'm going daisy.
That's, again, simplicity,
Yes.
being
Yep.
easy. If you were an animal, what
Mm.
animal would you be and why?
So we recently adopted two little feral kittens
Oh,
that I look at their life and what they so they play, they romp around, they sleep. They're the most adorable things. So that's what comes to mind. And right, and they're going to grow up to be cats that are independent, do their own thing a little, maybe stuff. So I'm just gonna go cat. But
well,
how about you, April? What are you?
I always love to be the party animal.
That's yeah.
Okay.
You.
I'm not gonna change it. I'm not gonna change it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yes, I see that too, April.
So I know that your family is very proud of you. You are the mother of twin boys. What was that like?
Uh, yeah, so I have two girls, and then the twins came along, and I tell you, they are just. It was that first year was very very hard, physically, lifting and
Right.
diapering and stuff. But yeah, no, the uh, Alex and Eric are just great. We My mother's been obsessed with twins her whole life. I grew up with her spotting twins and going over, dragging us kids over to talk to the mother of twins. So she is
She
just.
channeled that.
Yes, she willed that, said, okay, here's the last of my children that we're gonna go for the twins. And she still can't tell them apart even at 24. She's like, oh, I know, it's stuff, which
That's
she really.
cute. That is so cute.
uh
What would you tell an inspiring writer, someone that is just really ready to step out on faith?
I would tell them not to be overwhelmed, but instead take one day at a time. So don't listen to someone that says, here's all the things you're going to have to do. First write the book, love your book that you've written, and then take the step to figure out, do I self-publish? Am I going to go try and get a traditional publisher and go through that? And so approach it kind of step by step as you go through, because I think the whole thing becomes overwhelming and you might freeze up and say, never mind. Because I honestly think I would not, if I wasn't aware of all these steps that were going to be facing me. So I did it one step at a time. Looking back, if I had known the whole story, I am afraid that I might have gone, oh, too much, I can't handle it. So instead, just create the book, really love it, and then just start going little by little into dipping your toe into the publishing and promotion piece of the things.
Exactly. And look at what other successful people have done. You know,
Yes.
look
Yeah.
at other books, other authors. AI is your friend. Go in and have a conversation with it.
Yes.
What can I do to promote my book? What are
Right.
people in this genre doing? Name, the top 5 publishers or self-publishing. You can have a conversation with that beast.
You can. Yeah,
Learn
you're
to
right.
learn to let it be your friend as well. Well, you have been such a champion and a wealth of information. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom with us, Andrea. Tell my brains how to get a copy of the book, how to follow you on social media, and to look for upcoming events.
All right, April. Yes. So Brains. So my book is going to be published on September 3rd. It's available for pre-order at any place books are sold. So Amazon, Barnes and Noble, your independent bookstore. It's going to be ebook and print book, and then the audio is going to be hopefully coming shortly. So I've got a website, andreaezerins.com, that you can sign up for my newsletter that I publish twice a month. Events are going to be there, so my September book launch events will be listed there, and then I'm on Facebook and Instagram is where I'm most active on, and Andrea Ezerins. You can
Well,
find me
we are
there.
going to definitely put all of your information at the back of the interview and
Oh,
the bottom of the
great.
show notes. Once the book is out, we're going to follow you. We're going to keep sharing because, Brains, I want you to pick up a book and enjoy it like you used to. I'm reading a fictional novel right now, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm so excited about how he's developing the characters and everything, what's going to happen on the next page. I dedicated to stimulating my mind.
It's very good.
Brain,
Yep.
Eye coordination. It's a lot. And relaxation. Just taking, a few minutes for yourself to decompress, get away from social media, get away from the world around you, and get into somebody else's fictional head.
Yep. Escape. Yep.
Exactly. Yep. So, Brains, I need you to go in, love, like, share, and subscribe. Love, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment if there's questions that you have, if there's a group that you might want to join, if you're in the area of Connecticut that you want to visit some of these upcoming events. That's what you do. That's what social media is about connection. Thank you so much, Andrea. You are the best, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, April.
Bye.